we now have officially we officially have 4 members here. So Mayor, if you want to call this informal meeting together, please.
All right, we're going to call this informal meeting together.
Okay. The purpose of this meeting is to give you a tour. It's not to make any decisions. Rose needs to hear that so that she can put that in the minutes of the meeting. There are a few people that council may or may not have met before. I'd like to start off with the gentleman who's going to fly the drone today. Officer Chris, come up here. Tell them a little bit about yourself and what you do with the police department.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a crime scene investigator, William Cressy. I work at JPD. I'm going to operate the drone today, let you get a little aerial view of the nice area out here. We have a TV set up behind my vehicle as well, so you can see it on a big screen.
Okay. Now, Susan, you've got some of your folks here that they probably know most about. But...
I do, yes. To my right, I have Nick Broninger. He is in charge of all of our special events. So I'll go ahead and remind everybody of our special event on Saturday, Winterfest. The snow equipment worked great this morning, Dr. Woodruff. You guys did a great job on that, but Nick was kind enough to drive me out here. So, thank you.
Michael?
Yeah, we have Jason Smith and Scott Perosi from the Parks Department, and I'm sure you're familiar with them.
And then Lisa, your staff.
We have Ellen Cubby on video camera and Chelsea Stiglitz doing stills, and I'll spot the drone today.
Okay. Now, there are aerials, which many of you have. If you don't have one, we may still have some extra. Who needs one? You got one? You got one? Okay. To orient you, you came in through Williamsburg on Albany. What I want you to realize is look to the far distance and see the power lines almost at the top of those trees. Can you see the power lines?
Yep.
You now own from that gate all the way to those power lines. The other thing is, if you will look into the very, very far distance behind me, you see those tall trees that don't have leaves on them right now? That's the beginning of your wetland. You own developable property from here all the way to those tall trees. And then from there, you own almost a quarter of a mile further. And we're going to take you back there so you can actually see the wetlands.
And it actually pumps back out and runs between Woodlands and Williamsburg down a trunk sewer to Brookview lift station. So we do have sewer here.
Now,
and power, because it does have 3-phase power to it.
The other thing, as you develop the property, you're going and walk the property today, you're going to see this property has a lot more elevation than you may realize Jacksonville ever had. Most people think of Jacksonville as being relatively flat. You're going to see today that is not true of this piece of property. You've got a lot of rolling hills. This lift station will be part of the future development of the property because part of it will gravity flow here and then be forced out. Some of it will have to get from the other side of the creek up here through other smaller lift stations that are built. But this is your opportunity to really experience what you have purchased. One of the first things, if you will recall, we have talked about the wetlands crossing and the permit. The permit to impact the wetlands and cross, it expires December 31st, 2023. And we have talked with you about the first thing we need to do is to have the necessary work to transfer the permit from the Koenig company to you. Secondly, to actually design the crossing. What we'd like to do for those who feel comfortable is we would like to have some of you, anybody wants to, walk down and actually see that. Because what you're going to find is it's actually, what I was worried about from a planning standpoint was that it was a real steep gully. It's actually not. It's a saddleback, which means that and you can see it, it flows down and it flows back up. What you're going to see down there is the creek is probably 20 feet wide and probably about 5 feet deep, and it's something that we're going to be able to put box culverts in pretty easily, and you're not worried about building a bridge. The real financial impact of that is paying for the wetland impact. It's not actually going to be the construction cost. The other thing, and we may want to break up into groups. Wally can take one group, Michael can take another group, but we're likely to walk back that way. If you walk far enough back, Wally Hanson's house, literally, is the last house in Williamsburg that comes this way. You can actually see his house. What I want you to see, though, is on the left-hand side as you walk, the phenomenal elevation drops that's going to give us the ability to design things such as challenge courses, hiking trails, bicycle challenge areas, because remember again, this is not a flat piece of property. So at this point, before we break up, any questions? So anybody who's been out here before want to point out anything before we break up into smaller groups?
Great piece of property.
Yeah. We will put you in trucks so that you can actually see some of the other things rather than driving. But the best thing for this first part is to walk those two areas.